In tragedy, there is comedy, and in comedy, there is tragedy. And I think we can say that about 2020. There were things that were so bad, it was laughable. But I know that out of challenges, we build character. The toughest times are when we learn the most. And that's why in this video, I want to focus on the 10 things that this crazy year taught me. And hopefully you'll take some of these lessons with you into 2021. I know I will. As much as I can't stand this year, I gotta say, I have become a changed person. I've learned some things. So let's get into it. And just a quick reminder, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to the Clean My Space channel and give this video a thumbs up for that there Christmas tree that took me and my family a whole Sunday afternoon to put up, so just show it some love. Never has there been a year in my life where I have slept more poorly than 2020. And it has forced me to rethink sleep hygiene and sleep habits and all the things that I need to do to regain a sense of normalcy when it comes to sleep. And I am not the only person. There has been a new term coined about sleep issues during the pandemic, and I forget what it is. It's like pandemic somnia. You guys let me know in the comments because I'm sure you know what it is. But people are talking about it, it's a real issue, and I am living proof that it exists. So the things that I've done this year to improve my sleep hygiene, well, when I'm good about it, I cut my screens at least an hour, if not 2, before bed. That makes a huge difference. You can talk to your doctor or your naturopath about taking supplements. I did that, but I'm not here to give you medical or even naturopathic advice. So go check with your own professional, virtual or otherwise. I also religiously wear an eye mask and earplugs every night. I don't look cute when I go to sleep, okay? I do not, but it helps. And finally, I am sleeping with a weighted blanket and I've noticed a big difference. So there are a lot of things that I have had to do to get myself back on track for sleep. It is helping, and I do hope that going forward, all of my efforts will mean that I get a more restful night's sleep. And I feel like when I sleep, I'm better. I'm just a better person. There's a famous saying that goes, what gets scheduled gets done. And this is something that productivity experts have been pushing for years. We all know it, but I want to pull it apart a little bit and talk about why it is so important and how I'm rethinking scheduling for the new year and life ahead. When you have a regular routine, you leave your house in the morning, you go to work or you drop your kids off, you know you can kind of slot in an errand or a drop off to a mailbox here or there. But now that everything generally is happening at home, we have to be ever more diligent about scheduling things in. It's so easy for work and home life to meld into one, and that's when projects and important things kind of fall by the wayside because a little bit of this happens during the day, a little bit of that happens during the day, and then by the end of the day, maybe all of your work projects haven't been finished or all the things that you had scheduled to get around home haven't been done because you've just lost track of time. So the best thing to do, and what I've been doing, is I just schedule my to-do list directly into my calendar. I time block 15, 30, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever I need to get home stuff and work stuff done. And I look at my calendar so I know what I have to do for the day. And then if I get an email or a project assigned or something has to happen around the house, it goes into my calendar so that I can strike it off my to-do list. And my to-do list is now my calendar. So think about that if you've been feeling less than productive with this new norm or the new way that we're functioning. You might want to consider scheduling more into your calendar. So I would say BC, not before Christ, the other BC. Everybody would say, how are you? And you would say, I'm good, how are you? Or how's everything going? Yeah, it's fine, how are you? Now, after everything that's gone down, one of the things I've noticed when I have conversations with people is that we're so much more honest with one another. Like, how are you? I'm okay, I'm having a bit of a hard day today, or last week was really tough, or I didn't sleep well last night, but I'm here and I'm ready to chat, what's up? And I found that achieving this level of honesty in conversations with people that I work with or who I'm in communication with, you know, for working on a project together or something like that, it just brings you down to a much more human level, and you can have a more authentic conversation with that person. And you can just be real, you can be honest, you can be yourself. And I think truly that is one of the best things that has come out of all of this. We care more about one another, we're checking in more with one another, and we're sharing more honestly about where we're at. And I think that's human and that's natural. And I'm glad it's starting to become more normal. So in 2021 and beyond, I'm gonna be more honest when I respond to that question, how are you? And I would hope that's something that other people would do when I ask the question of them. I remember back in late March, early April, that's when the decluttering and organizing obsession hit. It hit Instagram, it hit YouTube, people were going crazy about it. And I understand why. You're sitting among all of your stuff, the stuff that you generally just ignore. You're at work or at school and you don't really pay attention to it. But now it's staring you in the face. You see it, you have to look at it. You have to really think about, why is this here? So many people went crazy with decluttering and organizing. And that's good because they got rid of a lot of stuff, but it also made us as people realize that we truly do need to live with less to be happy. We just need to live with the stuff that we really need and that we really love. Everything else is clutter. So when you go into 2021 and beyond, when you buy things, buy them mindfully, think about where that special place in your home for that thing will be, and if you truly do need it. Because if you don't, you'll have to declutter it later and you're gonna have to spend hard-earned money on buying that thing. And I know for me, that shift in attitude, which started long before this, when we started our whole Clean My Space journey, this is something Chad and I have been working on for a long time, it really does change the way that you make purchases. And I really think it changes you for the better. I have not always been a proponent of quick 5-minute cleans to do your regular weekly upkeep. But I have learned this year that 5-minute cleans make a big difference because they can give you a physical and mental break when you've been sitting and working all day. They can also help maintain your space if you only have a few minutes. And because we're home so much more, we're messing up our homes so much more, which is why those 5-minute cleans, those little breaks that you can take to kind of tidy and organize the space, actually do make a really big difference in how clean your home is overall. And I also have found that these smaller 5-minute cleans just help reduce the amount of time I have to spend doing the bigger cleans. So in short, I'm not a full convert, but I'm definitely more on side with those 5-minute cleans. I have noticed the voice of the consumer really change this year. I've heard a lot of people talk about how they don't want to shop at big box stores anymore, they don't want to use online delivery services, but rather they want to shop local and support small business. And as a small business owner myself, you guys probably know I own a cleaning business. I've had it in Toronto since 2006. Supporting small business is so important. Every dollar counts. And that's why I think people have rallied in support for these small businesses over the past year. And small businesses, some have really struggled and have definitely closed their doors, but others have actually thrived during this time because there's this renewed appreciation for small. So the thing that I really like seeing is how there's been a shift in the way consumers have been thinking about the way they want to spend their money. They're voting with their dollars, they're supporting small business, and that in turn is helping build up the local economy and keeping neighbors and friends employed and supported. I've had this concept that I've talked about for years, which is having your hands full. So anytime you leave a room, have your hands full. I have another concept I want to throw at you. I read about it earlier this year in an issue of Real Simple, and I love the concept. And the concept is called O.H.I.O, only handle it once, which means that if you're taking something, you deal with that thing in its entirety when you touch it. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you get a package because you're doing some online shopping. You open that thing up, you put it where it needs to go, you break down the box, you put it in your garage or wherever it has to go for recycling, and your hands are clean of that task. Because that could so easily go the other way where you open it up, you leave the thing on the couch for a couple of days, maybe you forget to put your box cutter away, you've got the box still sitting there, and then before you know it, that happens 3 more times and now you've got a pile of boxes sitting in your corner and stuff you have to put away. So if you use that concept, only handle it once, O.H.I.O, you'll have a much tidier home. I've been a fan of indoor air quality for a long time, get it? The jokes won't stop here, folks. But things like dusting, vacuuming, and paying attention to your indoor air quality are even more important now that we're doing so much more at home. When you're out and about for 40+ hours a week, you don't totally notice if your home is dusty. And I don't mean just visually, I mean feeling it when you're breathing, more sneezing, seeing dust particles floating around when there's a beam of light. You really start to notice that stuff when you're at home more. So if you're not doing it already, paying more attention to things like vacuuming. Dusting is great, but really vacuuming removes the dust from your indoor air environment, and using an air purifier. We have one running most days at this house. I sneeze very frequently because we have a cat and I am slightly sensitive to dust. So indoor air quality is super important for me, but if it's something you haven't quite thought about, consider it because it makes a huge difference to your comfort indoors. For many of us, home has become more than just a safe haven or the place we come after work. For many of us, we're now learning from home, working from home, and also doing social hangouts online from home. Pretty much everything is happening under one roof. So this year, I have learned to rejig my thoughts about my home and what goes where and how we function so that we can have our living spaces and our fun spaces, and then our work/learn spaces are separate. So that is one thing that I've learned that's been really, really important in 2020, having separate spaces so that you can still feel like you can live and work and function in one space, but you don't have to live in your work and work where you live. This is something that Mr. Rogers talked about all the time, and like we all heard it, but I don't know if we all necessarily used it. In 2020, we were all more aware of how our attitude and approach to others could really affect them and their day, and how much people who were working tirelessly, whether they were on the front lines or grocery store workers or delivery people or otherwise, how much they could really use a thank you or a, you're doing a great job or have a great day, and like a genuine comment like that. I have found there are people who I interact with who I normally wouldn't have thought twice to go out of my way to thank them or say something nice to them. Doesn't mean I'm a jerk, like that's just how we all function. But I have really challenged myself to go out of my way and be extra thankful where I feel it'll make a difference, because I know how challenging this year has been for so many people, for all of us. It's been horrible for me. And I know when people go out of their way to thank me, it really elevates me. So I try to return that. Like when I was in the hospital for my shoulder, anyone who I saw who came in to help me, I said, thank you for your service. Like I just went out of my way, because even though I was in a tough spot, I knew how hard those guys were working, and I used it just as an opportunity to be able to exercise gratitude. So smiles are free, thank yous are free. It's just a matter of us remembering to do it and knowing how much that can change the course of the recipient's day. So now you've heard my 10 silver linings of this otherwise insane year of 2020. And that leads me to this week's comment question. It's your turn. I want to know in the comments down below, what is your biggest takeaway from 2020? What did you learn? What did you get out of this year, knowing all of the challenges that you experienced? What's some of the personal growth that you've had? Share with me in the comments down below. The one other thing I will say, the bonus, is staying close with your friends and finding new ways to communicate. My girlfriends and I have like a raging group chat. We do Zoom games with my in-laws all the time. We've done it with my cousins, and it's just a really nice way to stay in touch with people. So I'd love to know, now you've got my 10 plus my bonus, what is yours in the comments down below. If you want to see what we're up to during the rest of the week, you can follow along on Instagram. I'm at Melissa Maker, Chad is at the Chad Reynolds. We are all at Clean My Space, and our microfiber products are over at makers.clean. If you're in the mood for rejigging some of your habits, we've got an entire playlist dedicated to good habits, and that might be a great way to plan out what 2021 and beyond is going to look like. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you subscribe to the Clean My Space channel and begin your journey to a cleaner life. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.